Guys, look what just happened there. Look how it's stuck.
Hey, don't break my field.
What a beautiful day here in Denver, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to strike the ball properly to generate more power behind your shots. Just like every other video that I have created, before we go over about the technique, we need to first understand the concept to how to strike the ball properly. We've had some great strikers of the ball, such as my favorite, Steven Gerrard, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You have some recent nice ones, such as Valverde, and I think another fabulous striker of the ball is Dominik Szoboszlai. Now, these players have certain things in common. Well, one thing in common, they know how to make the right contact on the ball, right on the sweet impact spot, which is your instep. So, what is the instep? Your instep is right where this bone, like a knuckle that is on top of your foot, and you should be able to find it. It's right this bone, somewhere about there. Obviously, your foot might be different to mine, but it's where the bone slightly pops out like a knuckle. That is your instep. And these great strikers of the ball, they're really great at meeting the ball right on the sweet spots. So how do we practice this? Well, here's the warm-up. It's going to be juggling. And you might ask, why juggling? Well, I said in my previous juggling video that juggling helps us to learn how to strike the ball properly. Obviously, there are different types of juggling techniques, but right when you begin to learn how to juggle a ball, you should be juggling the ball with your toes down, toes squeezed. So that way, you learn how to meet this contact where the ball doesn't spin. And once you start to meet the ball on the toes more, it starts to sound hollow. And also, there's a lot of backspin on the ball that you can find. This is not what we want. So if you want to learn how to strike the ball really well, you should first learn how to juggle, making the contact on your instep. And once you do that, your ball doesn't spin as much, and it sounds a lot more full. So that is going to be our warm-up. And this is not a juggling video, so I'm not going to carry on teach you how to juggle. If you'd like to learn how to juggle, there's going to be a video here or here, so go and check it out. You got your warm-up done, and that's exactly how we strike the ball properly. Let's get on to our next exercises. We know where exactly we need to meet the ball on top of our foot, our instep. Now, where should we strike the ball? The striking point should be right here in the middle of the ball. And this is a simple theory, right? You bring your instep to the middle of the ball and the ball strikes nicely with power. However, that's just not it. There's more to it. I have explained this before, but when it comes to any sort of technical executions, there are 5 key points under one umbrella of technical execution. So let's talk about our entry for our shots. We need to be making sure that our approach to the ball is not straight. Now, this is not a great entry because the moment I plant and as I look to strike the ball, my striking foot is going to be very upright, and you're not going to be meeting right in the center of the ball with your instep as well as you want to. And secondly, you might get hurt. You just might catch the ground with the toes and your ankle might just get shattered, and that is not what we want. So our entry, well, what should it be like? We need to be approaching the ball slightly more in an angle, such as in this angle. Now, then our pre-contact, which is a part where we talk about how we shape up our body to approach and to strike the ball. So if our entries are in about 45-degree angle, my pre-contact, let's talk about our plant foot first, my favorite thing. For our pre-contact, our plant foot should not be close and it should be further away. Maybe from the ball, 1, 2, even 3 steps away. So, or maybe 3 is a little too far. So let's go 2. 2 might be a little decent. If that's too far, maybe 1.5. That's going to be okay as well. So part of this learning process is figuring out where your comfort spot to maximize your striking ability is. So in my case, it's going to be about 2 feet away. That's going to give me a nice angle. Now, I talk about the angle. Here's what I mean by that. When I put my foot here, naturally, because the ball is on the side of me, as I reach for things, my striking foot is more in an angle. That is what we want, because it's going to help us to strike the ball a little bit cleaner, and that happens because it'll be much easier for us to connect our instep to the middle of the ball. Just take a look at this. This is a concept. If the ball is here. Because I am straight behind it, my foot is upright. The more I reach for things, take a look at what happens to my foot shape. As I reach, my foot naturally becomes in this shape, in an angle. So it's just like golfers. Golfers, if they want to tee up the shots, I don't even know if that's the right word, but if they want to go a little short distance with their club, they probably stay really close and they do a little tap. But what happens when they want to strike the ball 300, 400 yards? They have a giant club, more at an angle and the distance, and then they smash the life out of that, right? So same concept. If you want to generate more power, your plant foot should be a little bit further away than you normally would in terms of, say, you're trying to pass. You want to be further away from the ball because naturally we are going to be in this angle here. And that's going to help us generate more power. So that is our pre-contact. How about our backswing? Our backswing is so important when it comes to generating power for our shots. If you look at videos of Steven Gerrard, again, I bring him up all the time because I grew up watching him. The way he strikes the ball, if you look at his backswing, it comes all the way back here, and that would help him to generate a lot of power behind it. And your anchor foot, which is your plant foot, you have to plant really hard and shift all of your weight towards his knee and your ankle so that way you have really good balance, and that's going to also help you to solidify that contact point and the impact. And your core is also very important. It's the transfer of energy that's going to give you that power behind the ball. So your pre-contact, we talked about where your plant foot should be. How about your angle of the striking foot? The backswing is a big one. But again, it's not a just wild backswing. It has to be a controlled backswing with power. And do not be too stiff with your body. Be relaxed a little bit more. It's just when you're making the impact on the ball, that's when you stiffen up to generate a strong power. And make big arm swing with your left arms. So take a look. We push the ball out. We do our entry here. Look at how my left arm comes up. This is a signature David Beckham arm swing when he's taking the free kicks, right? Or when he's making the crosses. And it applies when you're trying to strike the ball really, really strong or really well. So we roll the ball out. And just like that, my entry was pretty decent in an angle. I planted my foot a little bit further away than compared to what I would do when it comes to passing. My striking foot was in an angle. And also my left arm was swinging big, so that way I can generate this momentum, and as I strike the ball, I come to transfer the energy to strike the ball hard. So now let's talk about the contact. So what exactly are we looking for? As a coach, I'm trying to look for two things. One, what does it sound like? Is it hollow or does it sound full? Number two, visibly, is it coming off my toes or on top of the foot? And a lot of times you can tell by the way the ball travels. If the player connects, or if you connect the ball really well with your instep, that ball will generally spin less and it'll just be driven. Think about the knuckle free kicks that Ronaldo used to do, or any other shots that are done outside the box, some of the big highlights. If you look at the way the balls are traveling, they don't spin as much. They might just wobble left and right as well. And that's because the player has connected with the ball on the instep really cleanly. Now sometimes there's some luck involved in it in terms of the player luckily striking the ball right on the valve. Obviously, as the ball is rolling, we can't be looking out for the valve and then strike the ball, so that's just pure luck. And when you do that right, the ball tends to wobble just a little more left and right as well. So that can happen, but regardless of it, it's just about the way the ball sounds when you strike the ball. Is it hollow? Is it full? And then the way the ball travels. Is it spinning a lot? Then chances are you caught it on the side of the foot or on the toes. And then also the flight of the ball as well. Is it just going up? That means you got it slightly underneath of the ball. I call it the chin of the soccer ball. You've got to be able to strike the nose where the ball is going to be driven. And those are the two, three things that we are looking for. Let me show you one more time. So I'm here, we talk about the entry first. So the roll the ball out. So I am in 45-degree angle, and then we approach, we bend our knee here, and then we come in an angle there. So it's all about your entry and pre-contact firstly. And then we can connect on our second, which is your contact. So those are the three steps that's going to help you to generate a lot of power behind. The entry, 45-degree angle, your pre-contact, having your plant foot a foot and a half or 2 feet away, So that way our striking foot is in an angle. The contact, it's gotta be right on top of our instep, not the toes, and right in the middle of the ball. Let's talk about the post contact, because this is where I see a lot of players making the mistakes and the shots just never really develop that power behind to be driven. And the reason is the players, or you tend to relax right after you strike the ball. So take a look at this. I want to do my best to kind of replicate that. We roll the ball out, we strike, we do everything right, but right as you make the contact, okay, that was a pretty bad example, but your foot relaxes. Do not relax your foot. You know how when we juggle, we squeeze our toes together, we push our foot down so that way our ankle is locked. The same way we strike the ball, right after you strike it, it's the same way you've got to come out. If you happen to relax and your ankle loosens, your foot wobbles. So if you're a parent or a coach that's looking at the players, even filming yourself, film it from the side, and look what happens in a slow-mo right after the player strikes. You might just be able to see the foot coming up, right? The toes are coming up, or it just wobbles like this. That is not what we want, because that means your ankle, in that range of motion, it was relaxed. We want it to be fully locked right after the contact. We remain in that shape, and then we finish the same way until we land on the ground. Let me see if I can get some examples where you can visibly see the foot wobbling after the contact, on the post contact. And honestly, I struck the ball okay on this one, but my foot kind of wobbled, and you could tell because the ball didn't exactly travel to my maximum capability. And this is why your post contact is so important. Now, last thing on the post contact, it's about the way you strike the ball out. Right after you strike, you can cut it short just like how I did. But if you're gonna cut it short, you gotta focus on coming together to make yourself smaller towards the ball. And that's gonna help the ball to be staying low and then be driven. If your body is very tall, chances are it's gonna it was okay, but it's gonna rise as it goes. But look what happens as I come closer to the ball on my post contact. So right upon the contact, I'm trying to get myself a little bit lower, get my head and body closer to the ball along with my arm. So take a look at this. So you can see the ball relatively stays low as I get closer to the ball. And that's one way to control the height of the ball. You know how coaches will say, oh, don't lean back. And it's not necessarily just leaning back part that is important. It's because as you make yourself taller, the momentum will generate the ball to go up higher. And obviously leaning back naturally will shift the ball up. Look at my contacting point, it faces up. That's not what we want. So have your contact surface, right? And when you're making the contact, be facing the goal, obviously. But on the post contact, just as important as the contact, you need to make sure this post contact, the foot does not come up too quickly. So you need to be able to control it. Have your post contact surface, again, the laces or the instep, be facing towards the goal. And that's how you control the height of the ball, to make sure the ball does not rise as much. The last thing I want to talk about is the exit. I think there's two ways to do it. One is where I kept my post contact really short, and then I finished kind of across my body. Now this is okay in a controlled environment. This is what I mean by controlled environment. The ball's slow, it's by your feet, and there's nothing around you. So it's a controlled environment. You can do whatever you want. And if that's the case, yes, cross your legs and then finish this way. But if you happen to be moving in a pace, chances are you're going to be landing right on the plant foot as you strike. So let's take a look. So you just saw how I struck the ball and my body came up like this and then landed on my striking foot. Again, that's to generate maximum power. So I went through as much as you can, right? Or as much as I can, pre-contact, contact, post contact, and then my exit, which was a landing, was on my plant foot. Why is that? Why do you think I had to lift up my left foot to get out of the way? Actually, I just gave away the answer. I had to get out of the way because if I were to just stay my momentum kind of stops. My body's momentum stops here. You need to get out of the way and continue running by getting your left leg up out of the way. You need to be able to transfer the energy that you generate onto the ball as clean as you can, and that's done through your exit being high and then lifting up your left leg and landing on the plant foot, sorry, striking foot. Ugh. That felt good. Okay, so what if there is not much momentum that I generated before my entry? What if my entry is really short? And that's when I use my strong plant foot. At least for this, I just want to clarify, there's no answer to your own striking technique. This is what works for me. I know I'm not the best player. I know I'm not the best coach. What works for me, that's what I'm trying to teach you. So when I don't have much momentum to generate the power, I try and use my plant foot as much as I can. What does that mean? So that means planting as hard as I can, shifting all of my weight to the knee and the quads, and then right on the, I purely focus on the impact. Can I just connect on the ball really well? And then right when I do so, can I make my leg stiffen in a straight line? That's what I focus on. Because if there's a little room for my leg to be bent, chances are I haven't fully extended to give that power. It's like boxers when they're trying to throw a jab or a punch. They don't just, this is not where you end, is it? You go all the way out. I'm not a boxer. I'm not focused too much on getting myself out there after I strike. I'm more focused on the impact and then keeping my leg straight. So that's the quick tutorial on how you strike the ball. You gotta focus on entry being in an angle, then you gotta focus on creating a lot of power using your pre-contact, and then the contact, we transfer the power, and then your post-contact to finish transferring that power, and then your exit to look at your goal. Let's talk about some exercises we can do to practice. So these exercises, we're just looking at our form, our striking technique to generate as much power as we can. And we've gone minimalistic. There's no equipment whatsoever. The first exercise, we are going to look to play off the wall and spin off it to generate our striking form. Okay, one final detail I kind of want to provide you is actually the angle of your plant foot. Because I am leaning so much to the left, at least I think, my left foot's ankle almost become in this angle there, next to the ball. Because of that, I'm naturally kind of in this position here, and due to my plant foot, I get to stretch my leg as much as I possibly could to bring every inch here to strike that ball. And then right on the contact, you could see that I kind of come together as much as I can. And that's actually helping me to generate as big swing, to generate as much power as possible. The previous one was kind of across the body. Now we're trying to keep the ball slightly more in front of us, push the ball out, and then we'll strike it from there. And you could use different techniques to get the ball out of your space, and just practice different types of game scenarios that you might possibly run into, because that's what this is all about. Not good. That's the video. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.